Our first organization is the Sierra Club, and here representing them is actually Seattle City Councilman Mike O'Brien. Mike!
Hey!
Nice to see you.
Hi, Mike.
Thanks for having me.
Nice to meet you. Okay, so my first question is, we were talking on the phone. Tell us what got you excited about the Sierra Club. It was that thing they were going to do, which sounds literally like a Mr. Burns plot from The Simpsons. Talk about that craziness.
Well, I started because I got addicted to climbing and rafting in my 20s, and I looked for an organization that I thought would make a difference, and the Sierra Club has a history of doing that. Back in the 60s, the federal government had this brilliant idea of building dams to fill the Grand Canyon with water. And the Sierra Club didn't think that was a good idea.
Nope.
And gratefully, it didn't happen. Now, the argument at the time was, well, by filling it with water, people will be able to get up closer to the walls and see the Grand Canyon and enjoy it much better. The Sierra Club took an ad out in a national paper and said, we wouldn't flood the Sistine Chapel to see Michelangelo's work better.
Yeah.
That pissed off the government.
And yet the Sierra Club prevailed.
We prevailed.
Oh, yeah,
That's
the
right.
Grand Canyon's dry. Remember Mr. Burns tries to block out the sun? Anyone remember that episode? Anyway, okay, keep going.
So this is going to be a really obvious question, but what is the core issue right now with the Sierra Club?
Climate change and figuring out how we can maintain a planet that we all can live on.
Yes.
So we've heard a lot about Paris and a certain accord, and yeah. So what do you have to say about that in the Sierra Club and where we are going to go from here?
Well, you know, I was lucky enough to be in Paris a year and a half ago when that accord was reached, and I can tell you there are people from around the world, old, young, representing rich countries and poor countries that worked really hard to bring everyone together. Now, we knew that at the time that it wasn't enough.
Yeah.
But still, the idea that every country on the planet was coming together to agree on climate change and a path forward was amazing. So when our government announced the other day that the United States was withdrawing from the Paris Climate Accord, that was devastating. That's a tragedy. But the good news
There's good news.
There is good news, because what we've seen in the wake of that disturbing announcement is local jurisdictions, cities and counties and states coming together around the country saying, we don't need the federal government. We will do this on our own.
Isn't that great?
Now, 12 days ago, the Sierra Club, we were in San Francisco, and the Sierra Club representative was talking about the mayor's conference, because it was like happening right then. So
Yeah.
what happened at that mayor's conference?
So the U.S. Conference of Mayors passed a resolution essentially adopting the climate accord for cities around the country.
So,
And
yeah.
we have mayors that are signing on. I believe there are hundreds of cities now that have picked this up. And it's important both that we make those changes in our cities to get the reductions in carbon emissions, but it's equally as important that we demonstrate to the rest of the world that despite what our president says, people of the United States are going to come together and do our fair share to save this planet.
Right.
So tell everybody what the Ready for 100 thing is.
Well, so the Sierra Club has a number of campaigns. One of them right now is called Ready for 100, and they're getting cities to sign on to be ready for 100% clean energy in their cities. And a number of cities around the country have done it, and we're not quite to 100 cities.
Are there any in Washington State?
There are 5 in Washington, 6 maybe. Let's see, Bainbridge Island, Everett, Linwood, Edmonds recently did it. I'm missing one.
Shoreline.
Shoreline, thank you.
Seth did his homework.
I'm missing one.
Bainbridge, Shoreline, Linwood.
I don't know, I'm looking at my
Our city.
Wait, Seattle hasn't done it yet?
We haven't done it yet, so we need a little pressure. Maybe let's ask the mayor to administratively adopt that, or.
Okay.
So yeah, I was going to say, so everyone's watching in all different cities across the country, and people in Seattle, what do they need to do to get this to sort of keep moving?
Well, you can go to Sierra Club or Google Ready for 100 and see that. But basically, the gist of it is ask your elected officials, ask your mayor to adopt a commitment for your city to be 100% renewable energy.